All right, ladies and gentlemen, when you make the right financial decisions, it impacts your financial path in a positive way. It impacts your financial path in a positive way. But when you make the wrong financial decisions, it impacts your financial path in a negative way. All right, in a negative way. Now, how we are going to survive in terms of finances and the kind of financial life that we are going to have, it is solely depends on the kind of financial decisions that we make in our daily living. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you make financial decisions, you are supposed to be very careful what kind of financial decisions that you are making. It, because your financial decisions can either impact your life in a positive way, or they can also impact your life in a negative way. And when they impact your life in a positive way, you are improving in terms of finances, and you're not going to have any problem as far as money is concerned. And then when it impacts in a negative way, here is when you're going to find out that you have a lot of problems when it comes to money, and so on and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you the highlight, or just to mention a few wrong financial decisions that you can make that could impact your life in a negative way. For example, if you earn money, or you get an income from your business, or whichever place that you're working, or if you are salaried, either informal or informal sector, and you don't find yourself that you're putting aside at least some amount of money for investment purposes, that is going to make sure that at least you have some financial security, whereby you find yourself that you are spending everything. You're spending everything, or if you find yourself that you are spending more than you earn. That means if you spend more than you earn, it means that you are borrowing even to maintain your status of living. That is a wrong financial decision, and it's going to impact your financial path in a negative way. And you are going to live a rat race life, whereby you live to get paid, and of course pay bills, and you are left with nothing. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are the kind of financial decisions that you're supposed to make sure that you have improved on, and actually start making the right financial decisions, just to make sure that you have put something aside for investment purposes. So whenever people say that they have problems with money, actually you don't have any problem with money, because you have some financial security that you can translate into financial freedom. And eventually, when you start earning that passive income, you can be able to say that now you are trying to become financially free. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is solely depends on the financial decisions that you make in a life. For example, just a simple scenario here: if someone takes a loan from a bank and decides that he or she is going to build a personal house, that one is a bad debt, because it's not for investment purposes. And then if you take a mortgage from a bank and you build a house for 10 million, and then you decide that you're going to pay that mortgage for 30 years, that one is a bad debt. And of course, it's not a good one, because you are going to pay a lot of money back to the bank, and the moment you subscribe to that, you become a slave until you even get old. That one is a financial decision that has already impacted your life in a negative way. So, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes we need patience so that we can be able to make the right financial decisions. And I told you, when I was making my previous videos, I told you that when it comes to financial decisions, they are not going to need emotional decision making. When it comes to money or anything to do with finances, they are going to need what we call psychological, or you need your mind to think, but not your emotions. Because when you use your emotions to think, then it becomes very hard for you to navigate through the world of finances. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you make decisions that are going to make you to impact your life in a positive way. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just to give you a scenario, for example, apart from those two examples that I've given you, for example, if you find out that your income statement, let's call this income statement. Now, let's call this an income statement. Now, if you find your income statement is looking like this, if you find your income statement is looking like this, that means here you have your incomes here, you have your incomes here, you have your incomes here, and you have your expenses here. You have your expenses. All right. It means, ladies and gentlemen, if you can just see by diagrammatic expression of this, if you have your incomes, just to say that here you have 100K and you have just spent like 60,000, it means that there are some 40,000 that you have put aside, for investment purposes. Now, if you continue doing this for a very long period of time, or probably just to give it 10 years, then if your income statement is going to look like, you see, you earn 100K, but you keep your expenses at this one must be around let's say 30,000 or 40K or 40,000. Now, if you earn 100K and you keep your expenses below, way much below, so that you can be able to get some money, probably 60,000 for savings and investments, you are going to build what we call an asset column. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as before I continue, there are two columns in financial path that we normally talk about. So when you make financial decisions, you are dealing with two particular columns, and it depends which column are you building and which one are you demolishing. For example, you have your asset column here, you have asset column, and you have another column that is known as liability column. Liability column. Now, you find that most individuals or most people are going to build what we call a liability column. Why? Because of the kind of financial decisions that they are going to make. You take a mortgage, you build a personal house, you live in it, that you have built a liability column because you live to pay that amount of money for 20 years. So it means that you're going to pay that amount for a long period of time. Now, the other scenario is just the one that I give you. For example, if you take a loan from a bank, for example, 1 million, and pay dowry, and it's not for the purpose of investment, it's just for wedding, that one is building your liability column, because that one is something that you invest on, but it's not giving you anything in return. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you take money not for the purpose of investment, but solely for personal gain or personal use, then you build what we call a liability column. But when you take money for investment purposes and then you make sure that you reinvest the same and reinvest, you build what we call an asset column. Now, in our scenario here, you see that we are earning 100K, but we are only spending 40,000. It means 60,000 is going to our asset column. Then at the end of that, this is how you are. This is how your balance sheet it's going to look like. This is how your balance sheet is going to look like. Your balance sheet will have more assets and it will have less liabilities. So it's going to look like this, all right? So your balance sheet is going to look like this, all right? So you're going to have assets here, and here we have liabilities. Now, look at this. This is your balance sheet here, balance sheet. This is very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you look at the incomes, it's 100,000. If you look at the expenses, it's 40,000. That means 60% is put in the investment column, and that is the asset column. That means when you save money, you don't just save. I told you guys, don't save money, invest money, spend money. Don't just save money. No, it's not about saving, it's about investing. When you invest, you have not saved. When you invest, you have spent the money for it to gain some passive income. So don't say that you have saved in a money market fund account. No, say that you have invested your money in a money market fund account. Don't say that you have saved in a CDSC account. No, say that you have bought some shares for investment purposes, because at the end of the year, you expect some dividends, all right? Don't say that you have put your money in terms of biological assets. You have saved your money in, say that you have invested in biological assets. That is an investment. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you say that I'm paying myself first, it's not about the money that you save. It's about the money that you invest. And remember, I told you a very simple scenario, and I told you when you earn, it doesn't matter how much you earn. It doesn't matter how much you earn. What matters is how much you keep. You can be keeping as little as this, but that money accumulated for a long period of time and put in the asset column, it becomes something very huge, until one day hata mpaka wewe unashangaa, oh, this is making some sense now. So it just needs some time. So ladies and gentlemen, back to my example here. You keep your expenses as low as possible, and then the remaining amount you put it in an asset column, and that's why you are going to see at the end of the day, you will have invested in your asset column and it becomes bigger, and you can see your liability column, it's smaller here. That means you have more assets as compared to your liabilities. And when you have more assets as compared to your liabilities, and remember, assets are those items that you're going to purchase for the purpose of income generation. And when your assets can be able to cover liabilities and leave this gap, you see this gap here, when your assets can be able to cover your liabilities and leave this particular gap here, it means you have some sort of financial freedom. You are experiencing what we call financial independence. Because even if you didn't work, even if you stopped working, you already have assets that are working for you. For example, you have investment in money market fund, you have some investment in shares and so on and so on, and other financial securities, call them. You have businesses that does not need your presence and so on. So you have more assets as compared to your liabilities, all right? So it means that the income that is being generated by your assets can be able to cover for the liabilities here. And then you have a very huge gap here that is remaining to actually do some other things. For example, you can do other things that you like in life. You can, now let me call this luxury life. Now you see this gap that after covering your expenses and what you need, and this is what we call liability. For example, fuel for car, you have paid your debts if you have any, you have paid everything that you need, and then there is a lot of money that is remaining here. It leaves you for personal growth. You can reinvest the money back to the asset column, and then you can also decide the money that you're living. This is life, and no one is going to live here forever. You can do what we call luxury. You can now start visiting from one place to the other. This is when now you are financially independent. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look at here. What if it doesn't turn out to be like this? That is a question that you're supposed to ask yourself. What if it doesn't turn out that your financial statements are not looking like this? Now, how would they be looking like? Now, look at this. Very interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. Look at this. Now, if your income statement is not looking like this, then it looks like this. Ladies and gentlemen, and this is what I need you to avoid. You have your incomes here. You have your incomes, and you have your liabilities. Look at liability column. Now, look at liabilities column. You have your incomes. Incomes column kanakaa tu kadogo tu. Or it has not even changed, but you are earning 100, the same 100K. You are earning the same 100K, but just change the picture on how it looks so that it can change the psychological way of thinking. But look at the liabilities. It means if you have 100K and the liability column is larger than the income column, it means you are spending more than what you are earning. So here you might be spending 150K. Now, let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, where are you getting the extra 50,000 that you are spending in your liability column? Because remember, here you are earning 100,000, but here you are spending 50,000. Where could you be getting that 50,000? There is only one place that you are getting that 50,000, and that is borrowing. You are borrowing from a bank to maintain your lifestyle, to sustain something that you probably don't need. You have some liabilities that you have put to yourselves and you don't need them. You took a car for a loan and you are fueling that car. The car is on asset financing. You are fueling it. You are paying for insurance. You are paying for parking fees and so on, and other liabilities like maintenance costs and so on and so on. Or you have probably other liabilities that you have in your life, and that's why you find yourself, instead of now using the 100K or less, you find yourself you are using more than what you are earning, that is 150k. That means the extra 50k, you are borrowing it from somewhere. Now, if you end up doing like that, and these are the kind of financial decisions, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm saying that they can impact your life in a negative way, and you're not going to like this in long run, because you'll find yourself in slavery, you'll find yourself in debts, unable to come out from debts, and you have a very hard time. Inafikanga mahali even you commit suicide, because you see now, this is not for me. So ladies and gentlemen, avoid these kind of financial decisions. This is why I tell people that you need to be satisfied with what you have. So if you have an income statement that looks like this, then you will have a balance sheet that is going to look like this. Now, instead of having like this, you are going to have a balance sheet that is going to look like this. Ladies and gentlemen, look at here. You have a balance sheet that is going to look like this. Now, these ones are liabilities. These ones become liabilities. Whatever was assets here, it becomes liabilities here, and this one becomes assets. It means that you have very small assets. You see, your assets, or the income that is generated by your assets, cannot be able to cover the liabilities. You see, now this, you see the column of liabilities is very big, and the column of assets is very small. That means it cannot be able to cover for these kind of liabilities. That means this gap that has been left here, let me shade this gap using lines. This gap that has been left here, this is what we call, I can call this slavery. Let me just call this slavery. Because here is where you are going to find out that you are paying a lot of debts, you are paying a lot of things that are very unnecessary, you make decisions that are not going to align your financial needs, and so on and so on. So ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you keep your asset column like this. Better you spend less, and make sure that you have saved something and invest it somewhere that is going to give you passive income, to make sure that you have a financial statement like this, instead of making a very bad financial decision whereby you want to maintain a lifestyle that you cannot be able to afford with the current income that you are earning, and then you end up having financial statements like that looks like this, where you have your liabilities are so many, but the income you are earning cannot be able to cover for your liabilities. And I'm telling you, you find that 70% of people right now, they are living this kind of life. But remember, it's not too late. You can always change from this kind of financial behavior and actually shift here. But it needs you to equip yourself with information. It needs you to be able to differentiate how money works, and so on and so on, and to watch these kinds of videos, so that now, ladies and gentlemen, to solve this particular problem, or to move from here to here, is very simple. If I can give you an example of what you are supposed to do, for example, if you can reduce your expenses, you can check in your budget where you can be able to cut costs, and probably make sure that you have put some money aside. The goal here is to make sure that you have put more money in your asset column, and then reduce money in your liability column. Just spend what is realistic. Just have realistic expenditure. Do not have abnormal expenditure that is going to overwhelm you and actually make sure that your financial life is ruined. No, just have a realistic expenditure. Make sure that you cut costs where necessary. Do not have unnecessary expenditure that is going to ruin your financial life. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's very much possible to move from here to here. And again, learn to observe opportunities. You need to earn more income to encourage more income coming to your pocket. So therefore, you need to observe a lot of opportunities that may come on your way, so that you can have that extra source of income. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's why X-Finop Accountancy and Insurance Consultancy, we always bring you this kind of information, so that we can discuss what is affecting people nowadays when it comes to finances, and how we can be able to leverage time to increase more income, and of course have this kind of financial statements. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Sir John Mweri, professional accountant with X-Finop Accountancy and Insurance Consultancy, and my work is this. I normally come here with a pen and a whiteboard and explain to you what you should be doing with your financial life, so that you can be able to enjoy life. Okay? It doesn't have to be very hard. It just requires that good financial decision, and then everything changes like this. All right? So ladies and gentlemen, that was the video for today. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you share this with your friends and make sure you subscribe to this particular channel, because this is one reason that you should stay subscribed, just to get a lot of information about this. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that anytime I upload a video, you're the first person to be notified. All right. Thank you so much. That was my time. See you on the next.